Welcome back to the Price of Business. I'm your host, Evan Price, talking to you about you and your business. Going to spend some time talking to Dan Fed. We do that because it's fun, and we all need some people that we have to pick on in life. I choose to pick on Dan Shed, and he seems to enjoy it. And also Martha Lambeth, she'll chime in as well. And we're going to have fun talking about his most recent topic. We have Dan go out there and find a story every day, and I either like it or dislike it. I usually don't tell him what he can or cannot do, and we'll see what we got today. Most of the time, I don't like the story, but you know what? It always leads to stimulating conversation, which ultimately that's the goal anyway. So, Dan, as always, welcome.
Thank you very much, Kevin, for having me today.
Yep. Dan Shed, tell us what you got for us, story-wise.
Well, story-wise, more employers are demanding college degrees for employment, study finds. This was featured in the Houston Chronicle this morning, and the study says that more employers such as nursing and executive assistants and other stuff like that are requiring college degrees because they say that it is more important to have those.
Okay. My initial response, Dan, is that this is probably true. This is probably accurate because reality is that you've got the largest number of non-working people than any time since the Great Depression, largest percentage of the population not working since the Great Depression. You've got a huge number of people that are competing for the same job. And so you've got an employer with the luxury of requiring more credentials than any time in my lifetime, which, ain't that long, but although it just feels that way at times, but certainly any time in recent decades. So there's probably truth to this, but at the same time, I have this attitude where, I had all of my older kids, I strongly recommended to go to college. I have 8 kids. 3 of the 4 older ones I had. The other 4 are kind of in limbo a little bit with that decision, or not there yet. Actually not there yet. And so I have changed quite a bit. I emphasize it a lot when they were younger. I don't emphasize it so much now unless what they're going to do degree-wise makes sense economically. Now, on our panel today, we've got a person with a broadcast degree, another person who studied broadcast, and lowly me with my degree in history. I doubt if any of us can. Well, of course, you're young yet, Dan, but I don't know. What do you think, Marcia? We got our money's worth from our degree, our education.
Well, I don't know. I've managed to stay in radio for 30-something years, so I guess I have. But a lot of people don't.
No.
A lot of people have a hard time.
And especially the new generation, they find it to be extremely challenging because in the last decade, really last 2 decades, there's been a lot of dramatic changes in radio.
That's right. Yeah, broadcasting is changing and shrinking as far as the number of people that are out there doing it because computers have taken over everything. But yeah, you've still got to run those computers though. So I think an education is key. I think it is important and it does pay off. May not pay off the way you expect it to.
Depends on what you're getting your degree in, though, doesn't it?
Well, yes and no. I think life experience too pays off, but I mean, come on, what'd you do with a history degree?
Yeah, look at me. What did I do with it?
Nothing. What are you doing?
And, in retrospect, I don't know if I would have gotten a history
And you're
degree.
in business.
I mean, maybe I would have gotten a degree in business. But my point is unless a degree makes sense economically, why get a degree? I mean, why add thousands and thousands of debt that you can be spending decades paying off unless you can quantify how that's going to change your life? If it's to get a better education, you can go to the book, library and get books and read them for free.
So no art degrees then, as far as
I don't know. I mean, unless it makes sense for you.
Yeah.
If you're so passionate about art that you want to become an educator of art and sacrifice income to do that, then I guess that's okay. Money isn't everything. But if you're doing things for economic motives, I guess this for clarity's sake. If you're doing something with economic motives in mind, it needs to make economic sense.
Yeah.
If you have motives beyond that, well, that's great, but be honest about it.
Yeah, but a history degree like you have has worked into probably everything you've done in business. And it just, you're not a history professor, but it's worked into the knowledge you've accrued through the years since then.
Well, it's given me a vast amount of worthless information that I can use on talk radio, so I will give it that. So, recently graduated Dan Shedd, what's your perspective on all this?
I am so glad that I got my college degree because, A, it was a lifelong dream of mine. People told me that I was never going to be able to make it through college with my learning disabilities, and that is, definitely one of the highlights of my life, graduating from college. And I am so glad that I went to college because I got real-world experience by working at the college radio station. And opportunities like that don't come around unless you know people. And I was even told, Dan, you don't need to get a college degree necessarily. It's all about who you know. But I was like, no, I want to get a college degree because I want to experience college and experience everything that it has to offer. And I am, so glad that I was able to attend a great university like Texas State that had what I wanted and had so much to offer. I wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah, true. Doesn't that just the fact that they accomplished the degree say something about who they are?
Yes, I do believe that that's probably one of the very, very few tangible values of a college degree. Is that they do have, they prove to an employer that they can finish something. Mm-hmm. I do think that has value. But, I don't know. I think things can be done in other ways. So, any final thoughts, Dan Shedd?
I just have to say, like I said earlier, I am really glad that I went to college because it gave me the opportunities that I wouldn't have anywhere else. And, I'm blessed not to have any student debt right now. So, I mean, yes, I do agree that, if it's not economically, sound for you to go to school because, you can't pay for it or whatever.
No, everyone can get a degree these days. Virtually anyone can. Start with community colleges. I'm saying that if your goal with college is to get money, you better make sure you're choosing a field that will make you money. Now, if you have other things in mind and can only pursue those with education, that's cool too. But I'm saying don't fool yourself thinking that college education makes more money. I know a person who got a bachelor's degree in anthropology with the intention of being a public school teacher from Harvard University. She paid $100,000 for that degree. You know how many years she's going to have to work as a public school teacher? I didn't know they let dumb people into Harvard. I mean, it's mind-boggling to me. She didn't have an intention to get a PhD in anthropology, which a degree at Harvard would make sense to start that off because that allows you to get another robust degree. But, that as a means to an end, that's almost as nutty as my degree in history. I mean, I don't get it. So anyway, and don't get me wrong, I'm glad I got my degree in history, but I wonder about the value of these things today. So
portions of today's broadcast brought to you by Houston Clown College.
Yeah, and that reminds me though that portions of today's program. Who did help bring us today's program?
Well, we had Abby.com. They are one of our sponsors today. USI Biz and Standard Supply Super Interns. Don't forget about them.
Because it's Julie, Super Julie to the rescue.
Julie
All right. Thanks so much to both of you. A lot of fun on today's program. Look forward to being with everyone tomorrow. Do want to remind you, best content here does show up over there at usdailyreview.com. And you've been listening to The Price of Business.